It beats my heart. Seafarers are getting exploited. The owners don't want to give that additional manpower. One clear feedback, Shankar, is that they have to pay 3 to 5 lakh rupees to get a ship. To my horror and huge nervousness, I grounded the vessel. The MTIs must be held responsible for ensuring that the buoy passes.
Welcome to the Maritime One podcast. Every seafarer remembers the MMD, the waiting, the nerves, the examiner on the other side of the table. Today, the table's turned. Captain Harish Khatri has spent 2 decades shaping how India trains, examines, and qualifies its seafarers. In this conversation, he gets candid about where the system leaks, who it fails, and what nobody is measuring but should be. Welcome to the show, Khatri sir.
Thank you, Shankar, for having me. It'll be my privilege to share anything that can benefit the viewers of your podcast.
Sir, you've been on the regulatory side for about 3 decades?
20 years, 2 decades is good enough.
2 decades.
I haven't
Two
become that
decades.
old as yet.
In these 2 decades, was there a moment when you realized the rule kind of looked perfectly well on paper, but very difficult and painful on a ship?
This rule about rest hours. This rule about rest hours, which is dealt not only in the STCW convention but also in the MLC convention. This is the most difficult and most abused rule on board the ship. It is not being implemented not because of any intention not to implement. It is just not possible with the kind of reduced manning the ships have nowadays and the operational issues that the ships are designed nowadays for. But the matrix of, I think, some figure of 72 hours in a week, and it beats my heart that this is not on. Seafarers are getting exploited. The owners don't want to give that additional manpower, but they have to fit into that particular matrix, or else there will be PSC detention.
Sir, can you touch upon the aspect of the examination board that you represent? Give us a window into how that came about. What was the need for that to come?
This is called Board of Examination for Seafarers Trust. It's a trust settled by Company of Master Mariners of India, which and the Institute of Marine Engineers of India. In 2005, when the issue came up that the ratings examinations and few other issues which are mandated on the DG shipping to undertake, we simply didn't have time. So these two professional bodies were asked to come forward and form a trust. The present day functioning of this trust is that it has delegated responsibilities from the directorate to undertake exit examination of GP ratings. GP rating is mandated to do 6 months of training, post which an exit examination takes place. We conduct 10,000 plus candidates examinations every year. So every 6 months, it's about 5,000 for fresh, another 1,000 for repeaters. So actually, it's about 12,000 in a year.
And what's like one uncomfortable truth about Indian seafarer training that you had to confront since you have taken up this role?
The ratings that I'm dealing now here for the last 3 years is something that we never touched upon while at the directorate. What really troubles me most is that there are 50 plus institutes which conduct these GP rating trainings and do not take the training aim as employability of the seafarers. If I'm a trainer, what am I training for? I'm training so that the boy not only passes the examination, which is only one part of the step, but he becomes employable and finally goes on the ship. This non sensitization and this non accepting the liability really of the MTIs for these boys whom they take lots of money for training. I cannot imagine why should that boy or girl fail on the subjects that he has been taught for 6 months. And if he fails, the failing rate, by the way, is about 20%. When they fail, then
20%.
yes, 20% of the boys, they fail. And what happens to the boy is allowed 7 attempts to appear and pass. Then he is adrift. The MTIs must be held responsible for ensuring that the boy, first of all, passes. That is the first target. He must. So, for that, if somebody fails, then they must retrain him at their cost. It's as simple. And I would even go a step ahead. If somebody says that, sir, this boy, not everybody is trainable, for example. Fair enough. I accept that logic. But then if he is untrainable, then you should have known it after 1 month of the 6 month period. We see it very clearly. The pass rate after a boy fails first time and up to the seventh attempt is not more than 35%.
How much time do they end up spending? How much time and money approximately do they end up spending in this pursuit?
For 6 months training, it varies from one institute, it's more or less about 3 lakh rupees. And then they are on their own if they don't pass, where they are, from which part of the country they are. And then they have to come back, come to major cities for examination where we have centers. Absolutely, they are rudderless, completely rudderless, and no one to guide them. We are working on a system of learning management online, and so that the boys can go through with that. There are absolutely no cost to that.
Okay. You touched upon a point in earlier in the conversation where you said that the folks are not exactly employable ready. I understand that the body has kind of examined about 1.25 lakh candidates in its 20 odd years. So what number do you think is employable or vessel ready the day they clear these exams?
I would clearly not pitch it beyond 30%. Not more than 30, max 35% are really trained to be employed. Rest are just mm, put into the show of training. Money is squeezed out of them. This office also does something called Seafarers Enhancement Program, P, SCP, which is a completely free program for anyone. So generally, what the people who come here are the people who are already employed and also those who are waiting for employment.
Sir, in your powers, if you were to change one thing on how ratings are trained in India starting tomorrow, what would that be for you?
I would actually bring the employers. I would actually make it mandatory for the institutes to engage the future employers to be regularly in touch and teaching them. And then at the end of that, it is the responsibility of the employer to also take the voice.
Why is it not happening today? Or what do you think is coming in the way of
It's a good
this?
question because unfortunately, Shankar, the trainers, the teachers is not a first job wish for anyone. You take up teaching only when you haven't been able to get any other job. Now compare that with, let us say, defense services. All the academies, let us say National Defense Academy, IMA, OTA, वगैरह, they need to have instructors. And if you want to be instructor, you have to go beyond being excellent. So you see, the kind of people who sit down to teach are role models from toe to head.
Sir, the industry talks constantly about officer training, COC levels, STCW, officer pipelines, officer shortages. Do you think we are underinvesting in ratings education and career progression?
Certainly, absolutely, absolutely. They have no voice. They just exploit it. As far as you touched the second point, their carrier progression between a foreign going ship and an inland vessel, there is also a coastal vessel. So now it is called NCV, near coastal voyages. There was a scheme to induct cadets directly into the NCV. We have started now. Anyone who's done a GP rating course, whenever, meaning to say that if you are even 26-year-old, you need to be inducted as a NCV tech cadet on board a ship and be enrolled with us under a structured ship training program for 12 months. So once you do 12 months, you can straight away from that GP progression to go into an NCV post C program and become an NCV NWQ officer, nautical watchkeeping, meaning third officer on NCV. So there is a clear progression. There are sufficient bridges also at different levels to come to the foreign going as well.
Okay, wonderful. So this is changing. I'll go back to the Seafarers Enhancement Program that you had mentioned, the 2 day program you had mentioned. What's the feedback that you hear most often from ratings who have actually been through it? And How has the feedback changed the program itself?
One clear feedback, Shankar, is that they have to pay 3 to 5 lakh rupees to get a ship.
Agents.
Yes. Agents, RPS, agents for bigger companies. I have been asking them specific questions. How is it possible that on this particular company you are also paying? Saying they don't take money upfront. They have agents whom you pay, and if you have not paid, then you will not get selected. So it is utter madness. So a huge exploitation.
Sir, you also take exams, orals for masters and mates. How do you keep yourself abreast? How do you do a mental refresh? How does that preparation and process work out for you?
Good question, yeah, because I haven't sailed since 97, But what happens is we receive the function of the directorate covers, or as a surveyor, it has a full canvas. From the time the training begins as a DG shipping, you are involved with that, doing some inspections. Contract and these things are also MLC aspects are also. Then if it runs into an unfortunate incident, that incident comes back to us to do an investigation. So there is actually a constant learning from inside a AC room for sure. In fact, there was a proposal which didn't go through the government. Every 5 years, I must go for 6 months out, and not only just go sailing. What I do in that sailing and reported by the owner should be a criteria for my further movement upwards within the hierarchy of the directorate. I missed. What was the second thing that you asked?
Do you do a mental
Yes,
recalibration?
yes. What I normally do is that, let's say a master's candidate walks in. So, and it is correctly said that 30 minutes of your walking into the room is more or less decided which way your interview is going to go.
30 minutes or 30
30
seconds?
seconds.
30
30
seconds.
seconds.
Okay.
30 seconds. And I can tell you for sure, it is more or less correct. When you walk into, and I can actually see you, how you have walked in, how you are dressed up, how alert you are. And my opening question normally is always to put him easy, open question that tell me about yourself, tell me about your journey. How was your last exam? The best thing that I learned from my seniors was that put the boy on a voyage that he has undertaken on his own ship, in his own area, region of the oceans that he has been. So what was your last ship? You joined the ship. How do you take over? You're loading this. What all documentation you are seeing? What are the difficulties? What are the safety? Things that move ahead. So you sailed off. Now, what kind of weather that you are going to face? How are you going to watch it? Create emergencies. So honestly, this is how a uh, typical way of doing it.
The wonderful approach. Sir, during these exams, has there ever been a case where a active seafarer ever pushed you back on something and you had to course correct?
Several times. Several times, yeah, I had to rephrase the question because I realized that what I had spoken was having a different meaning than what I actually wanted it. Okay. Sometimes it did happen on the case of application of ARWA that the candidate was right, and I was expecting something different, which was not totally right. It did happen. But having said that, there was one very interesting case. I must tell you that this boy walked into. I was just beginning to ask him, just warming up kind of thing, and within 5 minutes, he just collapsed in the chair.
Blacked out.
He just blacked. And my heart sank, and I immediately called my secretary, "How is the day job?" Then he was all right. I asked him, "What happened?" See, this is exactly what these boys hardly have eaten something, have not slept the night, come from a distance far away, being made to wait maybe more than half the day. Savere 10 baje bulaya hai, when the surveyor is ready, maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon. All this time, he dare not go away to eat something because he may get called anytime. This is exactly what happened. And you ask about being back foot. I was scared hell. I said, "Oh my God, now what have I done?" I did not ask him any tough questions or something.
Okay. Sir, last time exam कब दिया था? Which you had to prepare and you had to sit down.
I didn't have to prepare, but मैं बताता हूँ. As early as last year, I had gone to Chennai for some office work and one of the institutes, and they said, "Ki, sir, please come and see a simulator, a very top of the line simulator." And I said, "I must come and have a look at it." So there was this simulator and very nice 360-degree simulator, bridge maneuvering, etc. And I said, all right, what ships you have? What is the biggest ships you have on this? Saying, sir, this is a fully loaded container ship and create some disturbance. And one of them did say, she's a big ship. I said, yeah, that's all right. Hand over. I will take the con. And the ship had just about entering the breakwater. I have background of 9 years command. I have been 20 years in the dgshipping. You won't believe. As she was entering, she had about 5.5 knot speed, I remember. And I said, as she entered fully, I'll get the tugs. So I said, let me just stop her for a while. There was hardly any distance for me to go and turn into port, into the docks, and berth her. To my horror and huge nervousness, I said, double ring, full astern, ship would not stop. The moment, cut the long story short, I grounded the vessel. You can imagine my embarrassment, my sheepishness. And I'm looking at them, and they are all the time saying, sir, this happens to everyone. She just would not stop. I let go anchors because of complete overconfidence and unprepared. I should have what I expect out of a candidate to tell me that how to handle the situation, how to plan, how to execute, how to take all the angles, where is the tug, where is the forward bow thruster, what is the capacity of engine. Okay. I failed.
Good one.
I failed.
Sir, you were the first nautical advisor at the Maharashtra Maritime Board. वो experience कैसा था? What sort of unexpected or surprising thing landed on your desk?
So first of all, that experience was totally different than what I was doing in the directorate. Here, the Master Maritime Board is entrusted with development of shipping and port on the coast of Maharashtra. So when I say shipping and port being the operating part. So here you need to develop port, you need to see projects for shipyard, so much. Uh, But you ask unexpected. The state is also has the control of the inland vessel movements. They are regulate the inland vessel crafts. So there was one gentleman who through and through came to me. He was 92 years old. And he said, sir, I want to take you out for a boat ride. I want to show you that I can drive the boat. And he's a very rich man. I said, all right, but I don't need to see this, He said, no, you please come. So I went. And there was a big yacht, and 8-person or 10-person's yacht with two powerful engines. And he took me to Bombay Harbor and he drove like an absolute madman. Full blast, both engines forward, throttles. But he drove all right. After that, I said, all right, enough. I need to get back to my office. He's saying, now I have one request from you. You give me skipper's license. I said, skipper license? A 92-year-old friend. We don't have a system like this that I see someone driving properly and I give a license like that. You need to appear for an exam. And I have shown you that I can drive my boat. You give me a license. That was something very unexpected for me. He knew a lot of people, but it was his desire. He's saying, I want to have a license from the nautical advisor and I want to frame it.
I would say I generously use the word pioneer here. You kind of pioneered for the state of Maharashtra. And another new that you had done was the digital platform for the examinations. So, having done that, now if I were to ask you, how does that change the experience for somebody giving the exam? What's the difference in both the modalities before and after?
I joined here November 2022. To my utter surprise, and that is not to at all take away any bit of credit for those who were before me for having seamlessly done the examinations over the years. But we were doing the examination in a completely manual manner. There was a physical application would come to us. Imagine more than 5,000 applications coming to us every 6 months. A list would be prepared, and then a hall ticket. The fees would be collected on checks and demand drafts. They need to be deposited in the bank. Then admit cards would be physically prepared, and hallmarks of BS, some stamp would be put, and the who's the chief examiner would sign all 5,000 of those admit cards. And then they will be all individually punched for particular training institutes across the country. They will be airmailed to them. Then the boys would be distributed this admit cards by the training institutes. The examinations would be held. Similarly, the marks sheets would be physically brought, and which one has come, which one has not come, and then physically and manually the entire results would be prepared. Last bit, the certificates would be printed. Yes, and the certificates are printed and then dispatched. These certificates would be dispatched to the training institutes, and the training institutes are then required to distribute the certificates to the cadets who are actually no more in the institute now. They've gone home. I came to know that there was huge amount of exploitation by the training institutes for even giving a pass certificate to the boy. I said, this not happening, not happening on my watch. We got on to immediately within 3 months or 4 months of my joining. This was a tremendous task to wean away from the manual and to bring in the digitization. And we managed to achieve simply because the team that I have here. Amazing work. The result of that is the candidate. Now, the candidate, he gets his admit card on his portal.
Okay.
And that admit card has a QR code. Once the candidate is marked present, the candidate is put on an online platform to undertake his examination. The examiner also fills up everything online. I receive everything on my computer, on my system. Collation of all this is maximum 1 week job, because I am also developing data, summary of that, institute performance, candidate performance, zonal issues involved. So the result is out generally in a 2 weeks time, as against it used to be 2 months and 3 months. And once the certificate is generated, it goes in his portal. He can print as many as he wants. So this is the impact on the boy, and this is the impact for our office.
I would request if you can touch upon AI as a subject in our exams, AI and data analytics for the masters, for the GP ratings as a subject, so that they can leverage and take shipping to better heights.
One of the HTW meeting which we attended in IMO in February. So this was one issue where a comprehensive STCW amendment is going on, that we want to add more and more into the syllabus of the seafarers. And everybody wants to add cyber security, for example, training on alternate fuel, harassment and bullying and mental stress, and so much is getting added. So I am little bit apprehensive in terms of teaching AI and its uses to a seafarer going on board the ship. But having said that, when the ship's equipment are going to be using that, it will become a mandate that if I am the operator, I need to know how to use that. To answer specific questions, yes, they can have to be exposed to the seafarers, but being mindful that when you add something new, something has to be taken out as well. Otherwise, it adds too much of pressure on the seafarer.
India is pushing hard on the Jal Marg Vikas program, our inland waterways program. It's a national priority. At the same time, the inland vessel competency is fractured. So, why is this dissonance between grander vision and there's no single framework to measure their competency?
See, there is an IV Act. Earlier, the IV Act was 1917 Act. Now there is an IV Act of 2021. Now these issues are very well written down in that particular act. So based on that IV Act, the maritime state is now required to also have their own rules. The maritime states have a complete sovereignty over how they operate, regulate their IV Act. So we have actually making it uniform and streamlined. So there is work going on. In fact, the BES as such is uniquely poised to be the central examination authority for IB. On a serious note,
Wow.
because we are doing Maharashtra government MOU, we have 3-4 other, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal also. We have these ports also. They come to us. We have MOUs for that. So really speaking, and also the BS does GPA examinations, right? So which is not very far from the IB thought process. Yeah. We actually have written to the IWI to look into this possibility that just as DG shipping is the central authority under MS Act for the examination, the BS could also be a central authority for the IB part of it.
Now we hear a lot about, say, Calcutta to Varanasi cruises and all of those things. So if that has to kind of flourish, it's only fair that there be a standard framework for the folks who are operating these vessels. All right. Sir, if DGS tomorrow sets up a innovation sandbox, say startups are there, serving seafarers are there, regulators are there, what is the first problem you would want them to solve?
I would want them to solve the basic exploitation of seafarers, particularly the rating. This is something that pains me far too much. We need to have an ecosystem where this business of exploitation from the lowermost in the rung, and if you are charging him money to get on board a ship, I think this is the worst that can happen. So instead of saying that we must solve problems of ship financing and things like that, no, I'm sorry. Make that seafarer feel happy doing his job. Make him passionate about his job.
Beautiful thought. Sir, I mean, we discussed so much about your career. I just wanted to know, how did you get into shipping? Something I should have asked you much earlier, but nonetheless.
What did I get into? Like any other young boy, I wanted to join the army. I come from my family's services. I didn't qualify into the NDA. That was the first thing that happened after 2 attempts, also, probably 3 attempts. And then the next best service which offered me to wear a uniform was Merchant Navy. I come from Lucknow. Nobody had seen Bombay. So that's how I got into shipping. And after I matured into the sailing aspects, and the one and only job that I wanted ashore was to be a surveyor in the directorate. I wanted to be an MMD surveyor and nothing else. So we go through a process of selection through UPSC. The reason that I wanted to join was, and not to take up a private job, was that when you join DG Shipping, you get exposed to an entire spectrum of shipping. From the time a syllabus of a rating, for example, the training syllabus, that is developed and you are involved into that, right up to it goes on the ship, if there is an accident, ship inspection, etc. And till the welfare and other issues, or even other regulatory shipping, PSC, FSI, everything is driven on your platform, on your table. I was very happy. Some bug caught me, and I said, all right, let me also finish this something called extra masters. So I did extras. I actually enrolled myself for extras in 87. And while I was in the college, I had also appeared for civil services in the state. And whatever luck, I had qualified the written examination of the state civil service. So
Wow.
I left extras and I went back because I wanted actually to be a policeman. So that didn't happen. They offered me was a sale tax department, which I said, thank you very much. I can't. So came back to shipping. And then did extras in 99. And yeah, I'm in the shipping.
Okay. Okay. All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for such a beautiful, free flowing, easy conversation, giving us a peek into so much that we don't get to see as seafarers, the exams, the formulation of any changes that happen. I'm going to see everything a little differently.
Shankar, thank you so much. I see a young man who was in the shipping and now did IM Ahmedabad. Amazing. My best wishes and blessings to you. Take
Thank
care,
you, sir.
dear. Take care. Bye bye.